Hello friend, in today's lecture we will discuss a question which was asked in the ESI paper of RBI Grade B 2021. It was of 10 marks. The question was, what is the influence of demographic transition on economic growth with reference to India? Friend, this question holds importance for other regulatory body exams as well. So be attentive to the lecture. Friend, before we go ahead, let's ponder over what the question tells us to write on. Friend, the question does not instruct us to write simply on the theory of demographic transition. Neither does it tell us to write on the trend of demographic transition in India. In fact, it tells us to write on the effect or influence of demographic transition on the economic growth, taking India into account. So the question is to be dealt with accordingly. Deviation from the main idea means getting awarded with fewer marks. But friend, we will discuss every aspect of demographic transition to deal with the answer effectively. We will take what does the phrase demographic transition mean? What is the theory of demographic transition? What is the trend of demographic transition in India? And then finally, we will take the question, what is the influence or impact of demographic transition on the economy of India? Friend, in this video lecture, we will learn how to deal with the first three questions. Let's get started. Friend, the first question is, what does the phrase demographic transition mean? Friend, if you break the word demographic, you will find three forming parts. Demos, which means people, graphein, which means record, and the last is an adjective suffix ik, which stands for the meaning relating to. Thus, taking all these forming parts together, we can mean it out as relating to the record of humans or relating to the human population. The other word is transition, which means a change from one form into another. So the phrase demographic transition means relating to a change in human population, and the dictionary meaning is it is a transition or change in human population in any geographical area. Okay. Friend, now let's discuss the theory of demographic transition. Friend, as we have already learned that demography refers to human population, and human population is directly linked with the birth rate and the death rate of people. These rates directly influence the economy of that geographical area. The more population, the more consumption of existing natural resources, and thereby less economic growth. And the less population, the less consumption of natural resources, and thereby more economic growth. And so, population is the central point around which the entire content of the answer to the question asked revolves. Please bear this in mind, that demographic transition is directly related to the economic growth or economic slowdown because of increasing or decreasing population. Friend, moving ahead, let's discuss the history of demographic transition or the trend of demographic transition. Friend, broadly speaking, demographic transition undergoes three phases or stages. The stage 1 refers to high birth rate and high death rate. This situation occurs when there is no birth control, when there is no family planning, when there is less education, when giving birth to babies is considered the will of God, irrespective of giving the babies better health care, education, and all the others. This situation results in high death rate as well, owing to lack of proper medical facilities, improper food distribution system, occurrence of epidemics and famines, etc. In this way, the population remains stagnant. So friend, this is all about the first stage of demographic change or transition. Let's switch to the second stage, which involves a high birth rate and low death rate. This situation occurs due to increasing education level. availability of medical facilities, and strong mechanisms to control the spread of epidemics and a proper food distribution system. This leads to a steady growth in population called population explosion. This situation squeezes up the natural resources, leaving almost nothing to gain foreign currencies, which in the long run pushes the country into a failed state. Friend, the third stage refers to low birth rate and low death rate. This situation occurs when the society is educated and knows the value of family planning via various means. As the birth rate is controlled, the death rate too is controlled. In this way, again stagnation in population occurs. This stage is said to be the ultimate goal in which everything is balanced. So friend, this is all about the theoretical part of demographic transition, but we need to write the answer in the context of India. Friend, the history of demographic transition in India can be divided into 4 stages. The first stage is dated from 1901 to 1921. This period is called the period of a stagnant population, when there was a high birth rate and a high death rate. This situation continued from 1901 to 1921 as indicated in this table. You see, the population hovered around 25 crore. During this period, India was under the British rule. There was a shortage of food, exploitation was there, famine and drought were frequent phenomena, low literacy rate was there, the country was highly vulnerable to epidemics such as influenza, smallpox, plague, etc. There was no strong public distribution system. Friend, the next trend or the next stage of the Indian demography started in 1931 and it continued till 1951. During this period, India underwent a steady population growth, as you notice in the table. The death rate declined, but the birth rate rose by 1% per year. This was the period of the 2 world wars, and the demography of the entire world was badly affected. But India's population continued rising amid all crises as overall development took place. Literacy rose, epidemics were controlled, and medical facilities increased. Friend, the third stage started from 1951 to 1981. It was a period of 30 years, and during this period, India's population increased alarmingly. It was all due to the high birth rate but low death rate. The annual population growth rate was almost 2%. The first 5-year plan was introduced in 1951 with the objective of improving the shattered economy and thereby improving the population at large. It was the period during which immigration of neighboring countries took place and thus contributing considerably to the population further. Now friend, let us discuss the fourth stage that started in India in 1981 and lasted till 2011. This period too witnessed a declining birth rate owing to family planning imposed by Srimati Indira Gandhi, ban on child marriage, increase in the mean age of marriage and female education. The period experienced economic growth. However, a sharp decline was also witnessed in 1991 and then stopping the country from being crippled. The market was made open to the foreign and private players. Now friend, let us conclude it. Friend, India is still undergoing high birth rate and low death rate, thus posing many difficulties on the way to overall development in the country. The population is rising very sharply. In a 40 years span of time, the country's population has doubled. Since 2017, it has been growing at around 1.1% annually, which is even higher than China's, which is around 0.6%. Keeping this in view, India's population will surpass China's in a few years span of time. The National Family Health Survey NFH5, which is a country-wide health check, has reported in November 2021 that India's total fertility rate has fallen below 2.1, which is to say below the replacement level at which births balance deaths. This is a big piece of news for India. So friend, this is all about the basic idea of the phrase demographic transition. Hope you have got it. In the next video lecture, we will discuss the influence of demographic transition on economic growth with reference to India. Subscribe to the channel for quality learning. Pay a visit to www.bankwiz.com and have a look at the course offerings for the preparation of descriptive paper English and ESI and FM with a 360-degree evaluation from our experts within hours. You will also get model answers to the mocks that you will attempt. Wish you all the best. Thank you.